Rick and his team have discovered a mysterious discovery at Smith's Cove, a site known for its high promise. They were digging deep in the garden shaft, hoping to find gold or hidden artifacts. However, they found an old wooden passageway from the 17th century connected to a section called the Baby Blob. The passage was much darker than expected, and the team began to wonder if someone had deliberately broken apart this structure centuries ago to keep something hidden or protect themselves from whatever lay beyond. They found additional antique wooden beams, part of a well-planned edifice from a lost period. As they dug, these beams proved they were on the correct track. Gary, the team's competent digger, uncovered an unusually shaped metal item while combing the area with his metal detector. This item was older than everything else they found and looked like a past no one understood. The marsh revealed aspects of Oak Island's history, but each discovery led to something larger. Marks were set along the channel to chart it, and every excavation had to be strategic, safe, and calculated to safeguard workers and guarantee nothing was missed. As the crew worked in the marsh, they discovered more ship parts similar to those they had recovered earlier, including a brace from a 9-inch shipwood and a fragment of an 8th century ship railing. In 2020, the marsh may have a deeper history with medieval explorers like the Vikings. In conclusion, the team's discovery at Smith's Cove bodes well for treasure seekers seeking the island's past. Gary and Billy led a Bahamas swamp treasure search and discovered a holed piece of wood, a broken keel, and a massive wooden structure buried in the marsh. These indications persuaded them. There was more than just a treasure in the marsh. Dr. Ian Spooner, a geoscientist, was hired to date the wood and ascertain whether it was connected to the 500-year-old stone road. If it was, the site might have been a trading hub centuries ago. They were eager and driven to discover anything because the swamp continued to astound them. As they dug deeper, they discovered wood and other items that suggested more than wealth. On Oak Island, they discovered royal remnants demonstrating that it had a past before humans were aware of it. While Marty and Rick worked on the southern marsh, Cuba and Fiona discovered a 600-year-old lead coin and a gold-covered button belonging to a British commander from the 18th century. The craftsmanship resembled old log homes, with each part serving a specific purpose. Although the connections between the secret road and the swamp garden shaft appeared to be connected, they were unclear. As they dug, the team discovered more anomalies and structures that went against the area's history, and as they investigated, they discovered the marsh was more than just a historical location, but a deeper mystery. They knew they were battling time, nature, and possibly an unidentified power on a treasure hunt. Rick Lagena, who was born in Kingsford, Michigan in 1952, had a passion for history and hidden gems. When he was 11 years old, he read an article on Oak Island in Reader's Digest that immediately piqued his interest in adventure and the stories of lost riches and abandoned places. At Kingsford High School, Rick spent his childhood wandering rather than watching TV. Instead, he was praised for his curiosity rather than his academic prowess. After graduation in 1970, Rick worked as a postal worker, sorting and delivering mail, but his curiosity with history never went away. Rick and Marty decided to act on the island in 2006 after talking about it. They acquired half of Oak Island Tours, Inc., which owned most of the island. The distant dream became reality after decades of preparation. Rick tackled the search with purpose. He wanted to do things well because he was meticulous. Slowly, the crew discovered more about Oak Island's dark past. Marty's business and IT skills made the brothers a terrific partnership. They made headway on Oak Island's enigma thanks to Rick's patience, love of history, and enthusiasm. Rick Lagena and his crew began a new phase of drilling at the garden shaft. They found a 17th century wooden corridor to the Baby Blob. This finding alarmed everyone, suggesting a worse history than expected. They searched for 18th century hints to a famous treasure. On top of their physical hunt, they looked for evidence of the treasure that had captivated so many for so long. The crew, led by Dumas contracting limited expertise, searched the passages and concealed areas for riches. One of the island's well-known flood tunnels may have been struck when water unexpectedly entered the shaft through holes excavated around 97 feet. For 2 centuries, treasure seekers battled this problem by pumping out the water and investigating farther down the garden shaft. With perseverance, Rick and his associates found enormous, oddly shaped wooden beams that proved the passage's existence and historical significance. Gary, an experienced digster, brought his metal detector to the site to find items that might reveal the area's history. After his efforts, his detector beeped on a metal piece, indicating it was ancient. As they dug, the crew placed markers along the channel to chart the subterranean pre-machine. Ad-shaped wood was one of the day's most fascinating finds. The passage's construction may have supported the round-to-thin beams. After discovering this treasure, Rick and his group felt more connected to the island's stories. Wetland Oak Island has a lengthy and distinguished past, and Rick, Billy Gart, and Gary Drayton are currently researching it. Their curiosity about history and the thrill of the hunt are what motivate them to find more than hidden treasures. They find parts of ships from the 15th and 18th centuries, as well as an 8th century railing, which suggests that the marsh may have a longer history than previously thought, possibly involving Viking explorers from the Middle Ages to the present. Next, they discover a large wooden structure that appears to be a wall or dam, which reminds them of what Fred Nolan, a former treasure seeker on Oak Island, thought was a dam that was used to conceal something valuable. The team wants to know if the ancient ship railing they found earlier has anything to do with this latest discovery. As the pieces come together, the geoscientist Dr. Ian Spooner is investigating the ancientness of the timber structure and its connection to a 500-year-old stone road, which suggests that the land was inhabited long ago. They find that the swamp has more mysteries and deeper depths than anything they have investigated thus far. Additionally, there is another area of interest on the northern side of the marsh, which Marty Lagena and Dr. Ian Spooner are investigating with their staff. Dr. Spooner discovers a stick that is positioned between the rock and the ground below it, which provides evidence that the boulder was moved to control the flow of water in the swamp. The team is intrigued by this discovery, which raises questions about what is beneath the surface as part of their mission to uncover further Oak Island history. Nolan's Cross is one of the most unusual collections of stones on the island, and it appears to be linked to a large stone. A researcher named John Edwards suggests that there is a possibility that something valuable was hidden at Nolan's Cross and that it is related to the Knights Templar. Dr. Spooner's claim that humans have been altering the marsh for a very long time is supported by the fact that Gary and Billy led the researchers back to the marsh, where they found odd tree stumps and layers of old wood in a swamp where trees do not grow. In addition, while excavating, they found a button with a gold coating, a circular arrangement of stones in a trench that was surrounded by rocks, and numerous pieces of intricately carved wood and other wooden objects. There is proof of its historical significance because this was so skillfully constructed that it could not have developed organically. The group grew more cautious and came to an agreement that they would not make any significant alterations until Dr. Spooner had taken the time to examine the area. In addition, they discovered flat ear with a complicated handle, which shed light on the various history of Oak Island and sparked hypotheses about the people who had lived there in the past. An investigation carried out in a cutting-edge laboratory revealed that the button was made of gold and most likely belonged to a military commander from the 18th century. An antique shoe bottom with metal studs that were produced using conventional procedures rather than current glues was discovered next to a stone walkway, which sparked new worries and indicated that this path had been used for decades. Relics, coins, and pottery were discovered by the researchers, and with each discovery they came closer to comprehending the complex history of the region. After beginning their search in the southern marsh, Marty, Rick, and Craig Tester discovered a wooden structure that had been buried under a stone road. This discovery suggests that the history of the region needs to be reconsidered,